Hey there guys, it is Kate McKibben here from katemckibbon.com and I'm coming to you today with an awesome A to a Q, and that Q is, what do I do if no one is signing up for my webinar? So I've got some great tips on how you can, just with a few simple tweaks, how you can change a dud webinar to a killer one that you're going to have great conversion rates, lots of people signing up, lots of the right people signing up, more importantly. So if you're ready to go, give us a thumbs up, give us a heart, and come on through. All right, guys, so this is actually a question I get asked a lot because it's one of the steps in my 5K Funnel Formula program is to create a kick-ass webinar. So people get in there, we walk them through it, we give them some scripts and things, and they go out and test it. And, you know, sometimes they'll come back and say, oh no, my webinar, no one's signing up for it. Like, what have I done wrong? And it normally comes back to a couple of things, and it's tiny things, tiny little tweaks, and you know that's why we're there. Like, we get in there, we jam, we brainstorm, we help them out. But for you guys who aren't in that program, first of all, you totally should be, but you know, I'm going to give you a couple of starters to help you out as well. So I have notes here in case you're wondering what I'm looking at, but basically there is usually, if people are not signing up for your webinar and you've got an email list, or you've got a social following and you're promoting it, but no one is clicking through, there's normally a couple of reasons why. So first of all, and those reasons, to be honest, they usually come down to like 80% of them is going to be in your headline. And then also it could be like, maybe the page is loading super slow, so I'd go and check that. Or maybe like your button or your call to action is unclear, or it's hidden, or it's below the page, or whatever. So those two like minor things, check those first. But usually it comes down to the headline, guys. So here are some tips to get a killer headline that is going to get you so we try and get people to aim for at least a 40% conversion rate on their page. So that means that 40% of people who view the page actually click through and register. But we've seen it make like 70%, 80% using, this formula. So we know it can work way, way better than that, but it's just, that's kind of like a good minimum benchmark, I think, for people to know that your webinar registration page is like tick, done, working, 40% or up. So first of all, I want you to, if you've created one of these pages, it hasn't converted, I want you to go away for a couple of days. Like, not go on holiday, I mean, do that if you want, but you just need to step back for a second, because you're gonna need to come back and be able to be objective. It's really, really hard to do that with something that you've created yourself. If you find that you are not able to do that, if you can't kind of get that distance, if you just look at it and go, but it's amazing, it's the best thing I've ever created, I can't see any reason why it wouldn't be working, you might want to go and get some help. Like, you might want to, as I said, you join a program, get a coach, grab a friend who's in the industry and write down these points and ask them their honest opinion of if they think this headline is reflecting these things. So first of all, it needs to be short and sharp. So you need to, it can't take like minutes to explain what this is about. People need to normally see like a really attention grabbing something in a nice big font, something like, for example, we had a freebie workshop that I did with my first business, which was Drop Dead Gorgeous Daily, and that was a wardrobe workshop, like how to fall back in love with your wardrobe, right? And the headline was, wardrobe full of clothes, nothing to wear. So short and sharp and attention grabbing, like people, if that is their problem, they'll be like, yes, that's me every morning, right? And that is the response you want from people when when they view your page. You want them to be going, oh my God, they're speaking right to me. This is my problem, therefore they can help me. So it needs to be short and sharp. It needs to be either pain or solution focused. It can be kind of hard to shove them both in there. So pick whichever one or the other you think is probably more powerful, you think is easier to communicate. So either talk about the whatever the pain they're feeling now and how they don't want that anymore, or this thing that they really want, and it's sort of like, struggling to get to X, or, wish you could get to X without Y, that kind of thing. So it needs to be pain or solution focused. You'd be surprised actually how many of these pages I see, and when we do our reviews in the group, loads of people, they don't mention the outcome or the pain or anything like that. All they do is kind of talk about their method. And nobody cares, to be honest. Nobody cares about your method. Nobody cares how you are going to help them. They just want the outcome. The stuff in the middle, the how, that's a detail. Like you barely even need to mention it. You need to tell them that you can help them get from here to hear that you have something that will help them to do that. The how, they couldn't care less, whether it's videos, worksheets, whatever. No one cares. So get rid of that. Don't throw in the name of your super secret method that no one's ever heard of. You need to be making sure, I said, short and sharp, and it's pain or solution focused, and that is upfront. That's like the first thing that they're seeing. It's like bam, pain, bam, solution, outcome kind of thing, okay? So then the third thing, and this is really important, you need to speak their language. So you know how I said with my example, the wardrobe full of clothes, nothing to wear? That is a thought that we know and that people had told us, and that I had thought it myself because I was probably fell into the same target market as my target market, that we know that people have had that thought, that those are words that they have used. So don't try and get clever here. Don't use, like I said, don't use your own terminology. Don't use your expert terminology, because your target market, they're not experts. They're generally, if they're coming in for a freebie, for a webinar, they're generally beginners or like in the entry level kind of phase. So you need to be speaking to them in their words, their terminology, their total layman's terms. Don't get too clever here. Where you get clever, it's the how you're talking about the pain or the whatever, but the words you use, the terminology you use, it can't be fancy. No room for it, okay? And then the last thing, and this is really important, is it needs to sound both doable, but it can't sound doneable. I know that's not a real word. I told you, don't need to be fancy. So by doable, this is why people put in things like quick, easy, fast, cheap, that kind of thing. Like, think about when your ideal client, ideal customer is thinking about, what they think, like, because they've already got these, like, they've already made up their mind. Like, they look at this page and they're already going, oh yeah, I kind of know what this is about. They're going to tell me to do this, right? And they're going to automatically put up some excuses and objections about why, not just why they shouldn't even sign up, why it's not going to work for them. It's going to be too hard. It's going to take too long. I'm too busy. It's not going to fit in with my lifestyle, Think about what are those excuses that people normally give for why they can't fix this problem that they have, or what are the things that they've tried before and they've gone, look, I tried X, but it was to this, and I tried Y, but it was to that. What are those things? And pull out the one that's probably the most common. And so if it is, it's too complicated, then you're going to give them 3 easy ways of doing it, okay? Or if it's, when we use all the expensive software, it's like you're going to give them 3 free ways of doing it. Or, so think about that. So it says it needs to sound doable. Whatever it is, make sure you have in there somewhere one of those words that says this is achievable. So that's the other thing, bonus tip. When you're promising an outcome or talking about like where they want to get to, don't go 10 steps down the road. Get them to their next outcome that they're thinking of. So if you're in a weight loss industry and you're working with really your target market, maybe they want to lose on average 10 kilos, 20 kilos, something like that. Like, you wouldn't probably say that here's how you lose 20 kilos, because that probably feels too hard. They're going to automatically say whatever they tell me is going to be hard. It's going to take a long time. Got no time for that. So what you want to tell them is, okay, well, how to lose that next 5 and do that the fastest you've ever done it or the easiest you've ever done it without doing blah, blah, blah. So make it sound doable. And then the last thing is not doneable, as in you want to somehow make it seem like this is something new. This is something they haven't tried before. Now, I know this seems like a lot of stuff to shove into something that's meant to be short and sharp. So that's why you get a headline and a tagline, guys. But try and keep them brief. And if you can't hit every single one of these points, that's okay. The main one is definitely, you don't want them reading paragraphs. No one's got time for that. You will lose them if you have long paragraphs. It needs to be either pain focused and or solution/outcome focused. So those are musts. Definitely need to speak their language, and that doesn't add to it. That's just kind of the length of it. And then as I said, it needs to sound doable but not doneable. So pick, if you can't get both of them in, that's fine. I'd go with doable. But if you're ticking most of those boxes, guys, you are going to have a webinar that kills it. And my last tip, and this is what I always get people in my 5K funnel formula to do, is at the end of the day, when you're coming up with something like this, like a headline, like, getting opinions and advice is great, but at the end of the day, you got to test it. So, make sure you have a tool. If it's something you struggle with, then you want to make sure that you're using the right tools for the job. You're using a tool that is going to allow you to do maybe a split test that's going to give you conversion results. So, something like, I don't love ClickFunnels, but ClickFunnels does it. Instapages, Leadpages, Thrive Leads, whatever your tech of choice is, get one that allows you to do some A/B testing so you can test 2 different varieties next to each other and see which one, get real hard stats of see which one works, because opinions are great, but they'll only get you so far. You have to get out there and test, guys. So anyway, this is supposed to be a quick tip, and I rambled on way too long, but if you thought this was valuable, I'd love it if you could let me know in the comments below. If you've got a webinar coming up, let me know that too. And also, please, 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 guys, love it if you could share this around. If you've got any friends out there who are struggling with their webinars and they need a bit of help, tag them below, share this around, make sure they see it, and make sure they can get some killer webinar headlines going too. So that's it from me, guys. I'll see you all again real soon. Bye.